servants. Mark when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say to you, strike Amnon, then kill him. Do not fear, have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. So the servants of Absalom did to Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and each mounted his mule and fled. While they were on the way, news came to David. Absalom has struck down all the king's sons, and not one of them is left. Then the king arose and tore his garments and lay on the earth. And all his servants who were standing by tore their garments. But Jonadab the son of Shimeah, David's brother, said, Let not my lord suppose that they have killed all the young men, the king's sons, for Amnon alone is dead. For by the command of Absalom this has been determined from the day he violated his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king so take it to heart as to suppose that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon alone is dead. But Absalom fled, and the young man who kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, many people were coming from the road behind him by the side of the mountain. And Jonadab said to the king, Behold, the king's sons have come, as your servant said, so it has come about. And as soon as he had finished speaking, behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very bitterly. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son day after day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. And the spirit of the king longed to go out to Absalom, because he was comforted about Amnon, since he was dead. Chapter 14. Now Joab the son of Zeruiah knew that the king's heart went out to Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and brought from there a wise woman, and said to her, Pretend to be a mourner, and put on mourning garments. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but behave like a woman who has been mourning many days for the dead. Go to the king, and speak thus to him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. When the woman of Tekoa came to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and paid homage, and said, Save me, O king. And the king said to her, What is your trouble? She answered, Alas, I am a widow, my husband is dead. And your servant had 2 sons, and they quarreled with one another in the field. There was no one to separate them, and one struck the other and killed him. And now the whole clan has risen against your servant, and they say, Give up the man who struck his brother, that we may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed. And so they would destroy the heir also. Thus they would quench my coal that is left, and leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the face of the earth. Then the king said to the woman, Go to your house, and I will give orders concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, On me be the guilt, my lord the king, and on my father's house. Let the king and his throne be guiltless. The king said, If anyone says anything to you, bring him to me, and he shall never touch you again. Then she said, Please let the king invoke the Lord your God, that the avenger of blood kill no more, and my son be not destroyed. He said, As the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Then the woman said, Please let your servant speak a word to my lord the king. He said, Speak. And the woman said, Why then have you planned such a thing against the people of God? For in giving this decision the king convicts himself, inasmuch as the king does not bring his banished one home again. We must all die. We are like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. But God will not take away life, and he devises means so that the banished one will not remain an outcast. Now I have come to say this to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid. And your servant thought, I will speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his servant. For the king will hear and deliver his servant from the hand of the man who would destroy me and my son together from the heritage of God. And your servant thought, The word of my lord the king will set me at rest. For my lord the king is like the angel of God to discern good and evil. The Lord your God be with you. Then the king answered the woman, Do not hide from me anything I ask you. And the woman said, Let my lord the king speak. The king said, Is the hand of Joab with you in all this? The woman answered and said, As surely as you live, my lord the king, one cannot turn to the right hand or to the left from anything that my lord the king has said. It was your servant Joab who commanded me. It was he who put all these words in the mouth of your servant. In order to change the course of things, your servant Joab did this. But my lord has wisdom like the wisdom of the angel of God, to know all things that are on the earth. Then the king said to Joab, Behold, now I grant this. Go, bring back the young man Absalom. And Joab fell on his face to the ground, and paid homage and blessed the king. And Joab said, Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, in that the king has granted the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him dwell apart in his own house. He is not to come into my presence. So Absalom lived apart in his own house and did not come into the king's presence. Now in all Israel there was no one so much to be praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair of his head, for at the end of every year he used to cut it, when it was heavy on him he cut it, he weighed the hair of his head 200 shekels by the king's weight. There were born to Absalom 3 sons, and 1 daughter whose name was Tamar. She was a beautiful woman. So Absalom lived 2 full years in Jerusalem without coming into the king's presence. Then Absalom sent for Joab to send him to the king, but Joab would not come to him. And he sent a second time, but Joab would not come. Then he said to his servants, See, Joab's field is next to mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and went to Absalom at his house, and said to him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent word to you. Come here, that I may send you to the king to ask, Why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me to be there still. Now therefore let me go into the presence of the king, and if there is guilt in me, let him put me to death. Then Joab went to the king and told him, and he summoned Absalom. So he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. Chapter 15. After this, Absalom got himself a chariot and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom used to rise early and stand beside the way of the gate. And when any man had a dispute to come before the king for judgment, Absalom would call to him and say, From what city are you? And when he said, Your servant is of such and such a tribe in Israel, Absalom would say to him, See, your claims are good and right, but there is no man designated by the king to hear you. Then Absalom would say, Oh, that I were judge in the land. Then every man with a dispute or cause might come to me, and I would give him justice. And whenever a man came near to pay homage to him, he would put out his hand and take hold of him and kiss him. Thus Absalom did to all of Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And at the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, Please let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed to the Lord in Hebron. For your servant vowed a vow while I lived at Geshur in Aram, saying, If the Lord will indeed bring me back to Jerusalem, then I will offer worship to the Lord. The king said to him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent secret messengers throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say, Absalom is king at Hebron. With Absalom went 200 men from Jerusalem who were invited guests, and they went in their innocence and knew nothing. And while Absalom was offering the sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city Gilo. And the conspiracy grew strong, and the people with Absalom kept increasing. And a messenger came to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel have gone after Absalom. Then David said to all his servants who were with him at Jerusalem, Arise and let us flee, or else there will be no escape for us from Absalom. Go quickly, lest he overtake us quickly and bring down ruin on us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said to the king, Behold, behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king decides.
Turn that right
So
foot
the
out.
king went out, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 concubines to keep the house. And the king went out, and all the people after him, and they halted at the last house. And all his servants passed by him, and all the Kerethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the 600 Gittites who had followed him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then the king said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why do you also go with us? Go back and stay with the king, for you are a foreigner, and also an exile from your home. You came only yesterday, and shall I today make you wander about with us, since I go I know not where?
Here's number 2.
Go back and take your brothers with you, and may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you." But Ittai answered the king, "As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king shall be, whether for death or for life, there also will your servant be." And David said to Ittai, "Go then, pass on." So Ittai the Gittite passed on with all his men, and all the little ones who were with him. And all the land wept aloud as all the people passed by. And the king crossed the brook Kidron, and all the people passed on toward the wilderness. And Abiathar came up, and behold, Zadok came also with all the Levites, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God until the people had all passed out of the city. Then the king said to Zadok, "Carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and let me see both it and his dwelling place. But if he says, I have no pleasure in you, behold, here I am. Let him do to me what seems good to him." The king also said to Zadok the priest, "Are you not a seer? Go back to the city in peace with your 2 sons, Ahimaaz your son and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait at the fords of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." So Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. But David went up the ascent of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went, barefoot and with his head covered. And all the people who were with him covered their heads, and they went up, weeping as they went. And it was told David, "Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom." And David said, "O Lord, please turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness." While David was coming to the summit, where God was worshipped, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat torn and dirt on his head. David said to him, "If you go on with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, 'I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant in time past, so now I will be your servant,' then you will defeat for me the counsel of Ahithophel. Are not Zadok and Abiathar the priests with you there? So whatever you hear from the king's house, tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Behold, their 2 sons are with them there, Ahimaaz Zadok's son, and Jonathan Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send to me everything you hear." So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city just as Absalom was entering Jerusalem.
Let's come on down.
Chapter
Place the
16.
left hand to the right hand.
When David had passed a little beyond the summit, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of donkeys saddled, bearing 200 loaves of bread, 100 bunches of raisins, 100 of summer fruits, and a skin of wine. And the king said to Ziba, "Why have you brought these?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride on, the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine for those who faint in the wilderness to drink."
You guys ready to go?
And the king
All right,
said,
here we go. This is it.
"And where is your master's son?"
He's about 6 inches long.
Ziba said to the king,
Down.
"Behold, he remains in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today the house of Israel will give me back the kingdom of my father.'" Then the king said to Ziba,
Good.
"Behold, all that belonged to Mephibosheth is now
That's
yours."
the face.
And Ziba
Back's
said,
flat, stomach is
"I
strong.
pay homage. Let me ever find favor in your sight, my lord the king." When King David came to Bahurim, there came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. And as he came, he cursed continually. And he threw stones at David and at all the servants of King David. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And Shimei said as he cursed, get out, you man of blood, you worthless man. The Lord has avenged on you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you have reigned, and the Lord has given the kingdom into the hand of your son
Nice
Absalom.
form. Look at that.
See, your evil is on you, for you are a man of blood.
It's right down to my hand.
Then Abishai the son of Zeruiah said to the king,
Showing good. These are the things.
Why
It's
should
really,
this
really-
dead dog curse my
Nice
lord the
straight
king?
back. Nice
Let me
straight
go
back.
over
Nobody's
and
gonna
take
get
off his
that.
head.
It's really, really important.
But the king said,
Excellent form, you guys. I want
What
to
have
hear
I
that
to
breathing.
do with you, you sons of Zeruiah?
Nice. There you
If
go.
he is cursing
Good.
because the Lord has said to him, Curse
We're almost
David,
there. We do some
who
military
then
press
shall
next.
say, Why
We're
have you
almost
done
finished.
so?
Here we go with military press.
And David said to Abishai and to all his servants,
Grab your whips, hands.
Behold, my own son seeks
Guys all
my
set
life.
up?
How much more now may this
On the
Benjamin?
other again. You're gonna bring it right up.
Leave him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has told him
Nice
to.
and tall.
It may be that the Lord will look on the wrong done to me, and that the Lord will repay me with good for his cursing
Good.
today.
If you have any pressure on your lower back,
So
that means
David and
the
his
legs
men
are
went on the
You
road,
need to like
while
this.
Shimei went along on the hillside opposite him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and flung dust.
Up and straight arms,
And the
right
king and all the
forward.
people who were with him arrived weary at the Jordan,
Good, Sean.
and there
Reach
he
up
refreshed
tall.
himself.
Nice and straight. Yeah, yeah. You get
Now
the bends,
Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him.
Bend those knees a little bit.
And when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom, Hushai said to
Really,
Absalom,
really nice.
Long live the king! Long live the king!
Here we go.
And Absalom
Almost
said
in
to
the bicep
Hushai,
curls.
Is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend? And Hushai said to Absalom,
Chest up tall.
No, for whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel have chosen, his I will be, and with him I will remain.
Make sure the
And
arm
again, whom should I
very
serve?
already straight, all the
Should
way
it not be
down. Here
his
we go.
son?
Check on the back.
As I have served your father, so I will serve you.
Bend those knees just a touch.
Then Absalom said to Ahithophel,
Get that chest
Give your
up.
counsel.
Get up. Nice. Good
What
form.
shall we
Good
do?
form, both of you guys. These are bent. One foot's in front of the other.
Ahithophel said
The
to
reason why you put
Absalom,
one foot in front of the other is because
Go
it
into
helps
your father's
back.
concubines
Your
whom
legs
he has
are
left
locked
to keep
straight,
the
it's gonna
house,
pressure on
and
the
all
back.
Israel will hear that you have made yourself a stench to your father,
Finish it up.
and the hands of all who are with you will be strengthened. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof. And Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight
That's
of
it.
all Israel.
Adjust your waist
Now in
if
those
necessary.
days the
Guys, set up
counsel that
between one
Ahithophel
arm,
gave
both back
was
scratches.
as if one consulted the word of God.
Grab your waist.
So was all the counsel of Ahithophel esteemed, both by David and by Absalom.
Drop it down. Raise it up.
Chapter 17.
Raise it up. Just like
Moreover,
see the straight line from
Ahithophel
here to
said to
here? Really
Absalom,
important.
Let me choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue David tonight. I will come upon him while he is weary and discouraged, and throw him into a panic, and all the people who are with him will flee. I will strike down only the king, and I will bring all the people back to you as a bride comes home to her husband. You seek the life of only one man, and all the people will be at peace.
Remember, you're doing 8
And the
to 15
advice
reps
seemed
here.
right in the eyes of Absalom and all the elders of Israel. Then Absalom said,
Good.
Call Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear what he has to say. And when Hushai came to Absalom, Absalom said to him, Thus has Ahithophel spoken. Shall we do as he says? If not, you speak.
So, you guys are done.
Then Hushai
Hop off
said
the
to
other side.
Absalom,
Switch the feet, right hand
This time
on
the
hip.
counsel that Ahithophel has given
Reach
is
up
not
tall.
good.
Center
Hushai
forward,
said,
bend before
You know that your father and his men are mighty men, and that they are enraged like a bear robbed of her cubs in the field.
Bend those knees, you guys.
Besides, your father is
Never
expert
change
in
it.
war.
Any of these
He will not
exercises.
spend the night with the
Good.
people.
If you got a shoulder issue, remember you can
Behold,
always
even
do a
now he has
kickback
hidden himself
exercise
in one
like
of the
this.
pits or in some other place.
An option.
And as soon as some of the people fall at the first attack, whoever hears it will say, There has been a slaughter among the people who follow Absalom.
You don't need any help.
Then even the valiant men, whose heart is like the heart of a lion, will utterly melt with fear. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and that those who are with him are valiant men.
Here we go.
But my counsel is that all Israel be gathered to you from Dan to Beersheba, as the sand by the sea for multitude,
Boom.
and that you go to battle in person. So we shall come upon him in some place where he is to be found, and we shall light upon him as the dew falls on the ground.
Two back.
And of him and all the men with him, not one will be left.
Here we go. Right leg
If he
first.
withdraws into a city, then all Israel will bring ropes to that city, and we shall drag it into the valley, until not even a pebble is to be found there.
Back again.
And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the
Boom. Make
counsel
sure
of
that knees over the
Ahithophel.
ankle.
For the Lord had ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, so that the Lord might bring harm upon Absalom.
Good. Get that knee
Then
up a little
Hushai
bit.
said to Zadok and
There you go.
Abiathar the
Turn for me.
priests,
Let's see,
Thus
going
and
back.
so did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and
Back
the
leg, see how
elders of
straight that
Israel,
leg is? It's perfect.
and thus and so have I counseled.
Good.
Now therefore send quickly and tell David,
And turn.
do not
Last
stay
one.
tonight at
Come
the
on.
fords of the wilderness, but by all means pass over, lest the king and all the people who are with him be swallowed up. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz were waiting at Enrogel. A female servant was to go and tell them, and they were to go and tell King David, for they were not to be seen entering the city.
All right.
But a young man saw them and told Absalom. So both of them went away quickly and came to the house of a man at Bahurim, who had a well in his courtyard. And they went down into it. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and scattered grain on it, and nothing was known of it. When Absalom's servants came to the woman at the house, they said, where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said to them, they have gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. After they had gone, the men came up out of the well and went and told King David. They said to David, arise and go quickly over the water, for thus and so has Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose and all the people who were with him, and they crossed the Jordan. By daybreak, not one was left who had not crossed the Jordan.
Here we go. This side.
When Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his donkey and went off home to his own
The
city.
shoulders.
He set his house in order and hanged himself. And he died and was buried in the tomb of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom crossed the Jordan with all the men of Israel. Now Absalom had set Amasa over the army instead of Joab. Amasa was the son of a man named Ithra, the Ishmaelite, who had married Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, the sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother.
Okay, looks like
And Israel and Absalom encamped in the land of Gilead. When David came to Mahanaim, Shobai the son of Nahash from Rabbah of the Ammonites, and Machir the son of Ammiel from Lo-debar, and Barzillai the Gileadite from Rogelim, brought beds, basins, and earthen vessels, wheat, barley, flour, parched grain, beans and lentils, honey and curds and sheep and cheese from the herd, for David and the people with him to eat. For they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness.
looking really good. Good form. We're almost there. Remember,
Chapter
8 to 15
18.
reps on this too, you guys. So
Then
we're gonna do
David
15
mustered the
here.
men who were with him, and set over them commanders of thousands, and commanders of hundreds. And David sent out the army, 1/3 under the command of Joab, 1/3 under the command of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and 1/3 under the command of Ittai the Gittite.
Like heavy
And the
pants,
king said to
same
the men,
position,
I myself will also go out with you. But the men said,
flying like a
you shall not go out, for if we flee, they will not care about us. If half of us die, they will not care about us. That you are worth 10,000 of us.
nice.
Therefore it is better that you send us help from the city.
Good.
The king said to them,
We gotta flat that.
whatever seems best to you, I
Reach
will
down,
do.
reach down, get down there nice and
So the king stood at the side of the gate, while all the army marched out by
What you
hundreds
don't
and by
want to do is
thousands.
make this a shoulder exercise.
And the king ordered Joab and
Really
Abishai and
benefits
Ittai,
Colloids.
deal gently for my sake with the young man Absalom.
We got a few more reps to go.
And all the people heard when the king gave orders to all the commanders about Absalom. So the army went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was fought in the forest of Ephraim.
It's like the
And the men of Israel were defeated there by the servants of David. And the loss there was great on that day, 20,000 men.
knees are bent still.
The battle spread over the face of all the country, and the forest devoured more people that day than the sword. And Absalom happened to meet the servants of David.
Just like that.
Absalom was riding on his mule, and the mule went under the thick branches of a great oak, and his head caught fast in the oak, and he was suspended between heaven and earth, while the mule that was under him went on.
Let's see how everybody's doing behind
And a certain man saw it and told Joab,
form. Nice.
Behold, I saw Absalom hanging in an
Those
oak.
resistance bands really work, don't they, Sean?
Joab said to the man who told him,
It's looking
What?
good.
You saw him? Why then did you not strike him there to the ground? I would have been glad to give you 10 pieces of silver and a belt. But the man said to Joab, Even if I felt in my hand the weight of 1,000 pieces of silver, I would not reach out my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king commanded you and Abishai and Ittai, for my sake protect the young man Absalom. On the other hand, if I had dealt treacherously against his life, and there is nothing hidden from the king, then you yourself would have stood aloof. Joab said, I will not waste time like this with you.
Straighten the arms at the
And he
bottom.
took 3 javelins in his hand and thrust them into the heart of Absalom while he was still alive in the oak. And 10 young men, Joab's armor bearers, surrounded Absalom and struck him and killed him.
literally tones up the
Then
price.
Joab blew the trumpet, and the troops came back from pursuing Israel, for Joab
Remember,
restrained
8
them.
to 15 reps.
And they took Absalom and threw him into a great pit in the
We got
forest,
5 left.
and raised over him a very
4
great
left.
heap of
Here we
stones.
go. We're gonna finish them up.
And all Israel fled, everyone to his own home. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and set up for himself the pillar that is in the king's valley. For he said,
Now we got 2 armed
I have no son to keep my name in remembrance.
Side profiles. We'll see what it
He
looks
called the pillar after his own name, and it is called Absalom's monument to this day.
Bent
Then
over,
Ahimaaz, the
big
son
bend
of
on the knees,
Zadok, said,
start at the shoulders.
Let me run and carry news to the king that the Lord has delivered him from the hand of his enemies. And Joab said to him,
Bam.
You are not to carry news today. You may carry news another day, but today you shall carry no news,
Backs is straight.
because the king's son is dead.
Too much. Bring all the way
Then
to the
Joab
shoulders.
said to the Cushite,
Squeeze.
Go, tell the king what you have seen.
Squeeze back here at
The
top.
Cushite
Squeeze
bowed
right
before
there.
Joab and ran.
Excellent. Make sure to breathe here.
Then Ahimaaz, the son of
Remember,
Zadok, said again to Joab,
this exercise is tough.
Come what may, let me also run after the
Goes to the
Cushite.
shoulders and the
And
triceps.
Joab said,
We got 4 reps.
Why
to go.
will you
Here
run,
we go.
my son, seeing that you will have no reward for the news? Come what may, he said, I will run. So he said to him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain, and outran the Cushite.
Drop down.
Now
Last
David
round
was
two.
sitting between the
We're
two
gonna do
gates, and the
lunge,
watchman
squat,
went up to the roof of the
right
gate
leg
by the
first,
wall, and
just
when he
like
lifted up his eyes and looked, he saw a man running alone.
Down.
The watchman called out and told the king, and the king said, If he is alone, there is news in his mouth.
You wanna make sure
And he
you're all
drew
the way up,
nearer and
nice
nearer.
tall, top.
The watchman saw another man running,
Let's go left
and the
leg.
watchman called to the gate and said, See another man running alone. The king
Right
said,
leg down.
He also brings news.
And 3. Here we
The
go.
watchman said,
1.
I think the running of the first is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok.
Take your time.
And the king said,
Check the form. Let's see.
He is a good man and comes with good news.
Good.
Then Ahimaaz cried out to the king, All is well.
Leg back,
And
leg
he
straight.
bowed
Leg
before the
showing.
king with his
Let's do
face
those
to the
squats.
earth and said, Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delivered up the men who raised their hand against my lord the king.
Good.
And the king said,
Let's see.
Is it well with the young man Absalom?
Turn.
Ahimaaz answered,
All right, last one.
When
last
Joab
time.
sent
Come on,
the
bring it
king's
on.
servant, your
Big
servant,
lunge with the knee over
I
the
saw
ankle.
a great
Legs gotta be
commotion,
straight.
but I do not know what it
3
was.
squats.
And the king said,
So you see how they stand
Turn
up nice
aside
and
and
tall
stand
every
here.
time? Hands
So
up
he
for
turned
balance.
aside and stood still.
Good.
And behold, the Cushite came, and the Cushite said,
The end of round
Good
2,
news
you're
for
gonna
my
get a
lord the
little
king,
water towel break.
for the Lord has delivered
So
you this
grab
day
some
from the
water.
hand of all who rose up
Remember, you
against
guys,
you.
there's no reason to overdo this.
The king
Starting
said to
out
the
slow.
Cushite,
1, 2.
Is it
Take
well
your
with the
time.
young man
Check
Absalom?
your weights. Make sure you're not
And the
lifting too
Cushite
far.
answered,
Your form's really good.
May
And
the
you said
enemies of
pause
my
for
lord
if
the
you need
king
to
and
take
all
breaks,
who rise
that's
up
okay.
against you for evil be like that young man.
All right.
And the king was deeply moved and went up to the chamber over the
Go
gate
into our
and wept.
stretch. And we're going to do our quads
And as he
first.
went, he said,
Grab the right ankle.
Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom.
Nice and tall.
Would I had died instead of you, oh Absalom, my son, my son.
My son,
And let's get that
son, my son,
Chapter 19.
down.
It was told Joab,
son, my
Behold,
son.
the king is weeping and mourning for Absalom.
my son.
So the victory that
Absalom.
day was turned into mourning for all the people. For the people heard that day, the king is grieving for his son.
Son, my son.
And the people stole into the city that day as people steal in who are ashamed when they flee in battle. The king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, Oh, my son Absalom.
Okay, round 3.
Oh, Absalom,
7,
my
7, 7.
son,
Right on the
my
floor.
son.
7 wide.
Then Joab came into the house to the king and said,
Same kind of
You have today covered with shame the faces of all your servants, who have this day saved your life and the lives of your sons and your daughters, and the lives of your wives and your
Sean, you
concubines,
get wider than that. Come
because
on.
you love those who hate you and hate those who love you.
Same.
For you have made it
Head
clear
is
today that
Stomach
commanders
and
and
back is
servants
nice
are
and tight.
nothing
Make
to
sure
you.
breathe.
For today I know that if Absalom were alive and all of us were dead today, then you would be
Let's go.
pleased.
Nice and tight.
Now therefore arise, go out and speak kindly to your servants. For I swear by the Lord, if you do not go, not a man will stay with you this night. And this will be worse for you than all the evil that has come upon you from your youth until now.
Good. See, at least you gotta get those elbows.
Then the
nice
king
and tight.
arose
Too
and
wide.
took his seat.
Ugh.
And the people were all told,
Bring your hands in closer.
Behold, the king is sitting in the gate. And all the people came before the king.
All right, that's the last good close one.
Now Israel had fled every man to his own home. And all the people were arguing throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king delivered us from the hand of our enemies and saved us from the hand of the Philistines. And now he has fled out of the land from Absalom.
Hold on.
But Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle.
Ring it.
Now therefore, why do you say nothing about bringing the king back? And King David sent his message to Zadok and Abiathar the priests.
Next one is the back
Say to
exercise.
the elders of Judah, why should he be the last to bring the king back to his house, when the word of all Israel has come to the king?
Grab the handle with your right hand.
You are my
and
brothers,
hold it up.
you are my bone and my flesh.
Right leg straight.
Why then should he be the last to bring back the
Big
king?
back movement.
And say to Amasa, are you not my bone and my flesh? Now do so to me and more also, if you are not commander of my army from now on in place of Joab.
Let's see
And he
the form.
swayed the heart of all the men of Judah as one man, so that they sent word to the
See this
king,
twist movement that Lisa has?
return
It's
both
really
you and all
important.
your
He's
servants.
extending back.
So the king came back to the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to meet the king and to bring the king over the Jordan.
Let's see, show me.
And Shimei the son of Zerah, the
There's a lot of
Benjaminite
tension
from
at the top of
Bahurim,
that motion.
hurried to come down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And with him were 1,000 men from Benjamin. And Ziba the servant of the house of Saul with his 15 sons and his 20 servants rushed down to the Jordan before the king. And they crossed the ford to bring over the king's household and to do his pleasure. And Shimei the son of Zerah fell down before the king as he was about to cross the Jordan, and said to the king, let not my lord hold me guilty or remember how your servant did wrong on the day my lord the king left Jerusalem. Do not let the king take it to heart, for your servant knows that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I have come this day, the first of all the house of Joseph, to come down to meet my lord the king. Abishai the son of Zeruiah answered, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? But David said, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be as an adversary to me? Shall anyone be put to death in Israel this day?
8 to 15 reps.
For do I not know that I am this day king over Israel? And the king said to Shimei,
Here we go.
you shall not die.
Follow me.
And the king gave him his oath.
See how the
And
little top?
Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king. He had neither taken care of his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes,
Great exercise
from the
for
day the king
shaping
departed until the day he came back in safety. And when he came to Jerusalem to meet the king said to him,
Not like this.
why do you not go with me, Mephibosheth?
Great for this
He answered,
You really feel it here, don't you?
My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said to him, I will saddle a donkey for myself, that I may ride on it and go to the king. For your servant is lame. He has slandered your servant to my lord the king.
3 legs.
But my lord the king is like the angel of God. Do therefore what seems good to you. For all my father's house were but men doomed to death before my lord the king. Let you set your servant among those who eat at your table. What further right have I then to cry to the king? And the king said to him, why speak any more of your affairs? I have decided. You and Ziba shall divide the land.
Right to there.
And Mephibosheth said to the king,
Good.
oh, let him take it all, since my lord the king has come safely home. Now Barzillai the Gileadite had come down from Rogelim, and he went on with the king to the Jordan, to escort him over the Jordan. Barzillai was a very aged man, 80 years old. He had provided the king with food while they stayed at Mahanaim, for he was a very wealthy man. And the king said to Barzillai, come over with me, and I will provide for you with me in Jerusalem. But Barzillai said to the king,
Good. Now you do the full
how
month.
many years have I still to live that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old. Can I discern what is pleasant and what is not?
Chest up. See how they're not
Can
moving
your
around,
servant
not jerking
taste
around?
what he eats or what he drinks?
We grab some
Can I
chairs,
still listen to the
few
voice of
feet,
singing
2
men
legs,
and singing women?
some dips.
Why then should your servant be an added burden to my lord the king?
Your weights away, we're going to dips.
Your servant will go a little way over the Jordan with the king. Why should the king repay me with such a reward?
Place your hands on either side.
Please let your servant return, that I may die in my own city, near the grave of my father and my mother.
Nice and
But
deep.
here is your servant
Do what
Kimham.
we're doing.
Let him go over with my lord the king, and do for him whatever seems good to you.
Do this if you want.
And the king answered, Kimham shall go over with me, and I will do for him whatever seems good to you, and all that you desire of me I will do for you. Then all the people went over the Jordan,
Did you
and the
see the
king went
pace?
over.
We're not rushing it,
And
not
the king
overdoing it.
kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned to his own home. The king went on to Gilgal, and Kimham went on with him.
Legs are straight.
All the people of Judah and also half the people of Israel brought the king on his way.
All right.
Then all the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king,
3-part
Why have our
squats.
brothers, the men of Judah, stolen your way and brought the king and his household over the Jordan, and all David's men with him?
We're doing 8.
All the men of Judah answered the man of
Here we
Israel,
go. You guys
because
ready?
the king is our close relative, why then are you angry over this matter? Have we eaten at all at the king's expense? Or has he given us any gift? The men of Israel answered the men of Judah, we have 10 shares in the king, and in David also we have more than you. Why then did you despise us? Were we not the first to speak of bringing back our king?
The pain, but it's so good.
But the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of
Kick that
Israel.
heel up a little bit. I want to make sure you're on a pair of skis going forward. Now we're going to go a little bit wider.
Chapter 20. Now there happened to be there a worthless man whose name was Sheba, son of Bichri, a Benjaminite. And he blew the trumpet and said,
8 reps.
we have no portion in David, and we have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tent, O
That's so
Israel.
nice.
So all the men of Israel withdrew from David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri.
You have to lean forward.
But the men of Judah followed their king steadfastly from the Jordan to Jerusalem.
Good.
And David came to his house at Jerusalem. And the king took the 10 concubines whom he had left to care for the house, and put them in a house under guard, and provided for them, but did not go into them. So they were shut up until the day of their death, living as if in widowhood.
Heads up. Nice little pause.
Then the king said to Amasa, call the men of Judah together to me within 3 days, and be here yourself. So Amasa went to summon Judah, but he delayed beyond the set time that had been appointed him. And David said to Abishai, now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your lord's servants and pursue him, lest he get himself to fortified cities and escape from us.
Nice.
And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men. They went out from Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. When they were at the great stone that is in Gibeon, Amasa came to meet them. Now Joab was wearing a soldier's garment, and over it was a belt with a sword in its sheath, fastened on his thigh. And as he went forward, it fell out.
Let's get the shoulders.
And Joab said to Amasa, is it well with you, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him.
That's it. Nice work.
But Amasa did not observe the sword that was in Joab's hand. So Joab struck him with it in the stomach,